Today, we're looking at two big stories. The first one is Priority Pass losing access to some of the best domestic lounges. Even though it is a negative, I think most people are going to understand and find it to be a positive. Over on Citi's end, they just updated one of their flagship cards. Annual fees are up, but so are credits, and at the moment at least, the math looks pretty promising, and the core value prop of the card and why people got it is still the same. Timestamps are down below if you want to hop around. Big favors to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone affected or would benefit from this video, then share this with them. Starting off, Chase is making some pretty dramatic changes to their lounge network. If you don't have one of their cards, you're going to be out of luck. Starting August 15th, 2026, Chase Sapphire Lounges by the club would not take guests from Priority Pass or LoungeKey, including the option to pay per visit. Historically, if you were coming from these networks, you got one visit per calendar year, and then any additional visits will be $75 a pop. This change removes both the default and also the paid pathways. After this point, you're going to need one of 4 cards in order to get in. On the personal side, you're looking at the Chase Sapphire Reserve, JP Morgan Reserve card, or Ritz-Carlton credit card. On the business side, you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve for business. On top of this, they are making some improvements. Starting the same August 15, 2026, during your connections, you're going to have access now up to 5 hours before departure, while before it was up to 3 hours. This is for the middle segment and not the start. Let's say I was flying from San Diego to Boston to then Paris. For San Diego, it'd still be 3 hours beforehand, while in Boston, it's 5 hours before. I think this is a good change, and with the first change, hopefully crowding isn't an issue. With all of this going on, the big question is on timing. We're looking at about 15 days notice, which is pretty tight. On one hand, maybe Priority Pass and Chase couldn't come to an agreement to new terms for their next contract. My guess, though, is more on card member sentiment. We just passed the 12-month mark of the refresh, and I wouldn't be surprised if lounge access was a big complaint. Even on my end, I haven't had the best luck with Sapphire Lounges. I usually travel during non-busy times, usually flying out on Wednesday or Thursday and then come back on a Saturday. So pretty much one day off from normal travelers. Part of this is upgrade odds, but also those tickets tend to be cheaper, which makes it a win-win. Even traveling off those less busy times, I haven't had the best luck. My main successful entry was in Boston, and that was still a 30-minute wait, and for all the other ones, it was 45 to 60, and I pretty much gave up and opted to go to other lounges. So hopefully the Priority Pass and LoungeKey nerf ends up helping with the lines and crowding, otherwise they're going to have to deal with guesting. So guest access is staying the same, it's going to be you plus 2 guests. I wouldn't be surprised though if they do test something else in a year or so. This isn't happening yet, but it's the next logical step. A good starting point though would be an app for mobile check-in. This feels like the most obvious addition to make the experience less painful. Number 2 would be limiting guesting to maybe once every half year, which would match with a lot of their other credits. If lines do continue to be a problem, it could be a good stopgap solution. The last option would be limiting guesting privileges to people that spend $75K on the relevant cards in a calendar year. Consider that Chase already has a $75K spend incentive to unlock additional perks like elite status and credits. This doesn't feel unreasonable. Also, the fact that their competitors do exactly the same thing, and I'd argue that it solved the lineup issue pretty effectively. Again, I travel during off days, but I've had a ton of success. Out of SFO, my default is the AXP lounge, and I don't recall the last time I've had to wait since they moved to the temporary location while they renovate. I've probably gone to their Vegas lounge 6 times in the last 12 months, and I've never had to wait to get in. The only times with waits were Seattle, which was about 15 minutes. Probably also about 15 minutes at JFK as well. Capital One, though, hasn't had a wait. With that said, I think Chase is in a weird spot. To me at least, Capital One is weak for footprint, with only 5 lounges and 2 landings, which are the restaurants, but they lean into the food angle. At the Vegas Capital One lounge, I've had caviar and just genuinely good food. For LaGuardia and New York, apparently they have steak, and it looks pretty good. It feels like they're investing in their ingredients. AXP wins on footprint with 16 in the US, and that's more than the other 2 combined. Chase's value prop is that they have better food than AXP, but worse than Capital One. On the other hand, they have more lounges than Capital One, but less than AXP. Otherwise, it's just a 2 guesting as part of the card. If guesting ever does change in the future though, then they're in a Goldilocks dilemma. Also, even though they are adding more lounges, it's not fast enough. So Chase has LAX coming and also Miami that's being predicted, but AXP has Newark, Boston, and also a side option in Charlotte. Also, as much as some people say that size doesn't matter, it does kind of matter here. For example, for the Chase Sapphire Lounge in Boston, you're looking at 11.6 thousand square feet. The competing lounge is about twice as big at 20,000 square feet, and it also won't have guesting privileges. We see this across pretty much all the battleground airports. For Charlotte, DCA, and Denver, AXP beats Capital One. Dallas-Fort Worth is a huge battleground though for all three, and Chase leads here for now, but it'll end up being tied next year. For JFK and Vegas, it's the same three-way battleground, but with AXP leading the way. For LAX, it's a two-horse race with Chase losing. LaGuardia is another battleground, but one that Chase is the clear giant, and Philly, it's a two-horse race, but Chase is 3 times bigger here. Phoenix is pretty close if you ignore the escape lounge side. If you are based in a battleground airport, I'd strongly consider lounge size. Either way though, for this change, I think it is a step in the right direction, and hopefully it means better access, similar to competitors. Otherwise, if you do have multiple cards, I guess you could use one of the other lounges as a waiting room for the Chase Lounge. Let me know if you think this will solve crowding or whether they'll have to do something else. On a side note, if you want to learn about cards and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Also, if you want to run the numbers for pretty much any card, we have calculators that should pop up if you search card name worth it, AskSebby. If you get value, then perfect. If not, there's a ton of other cards out there. Next up, the Citi AAdvantage Executive World Elite Mastercard just got a major refresh. Beginning August 23rd, 2026, you're getting new benefits, but also a new annual fee. The old annual fee is $5.95 and the new one is $6.95. They are adding a lot of credits, so if you had the old card, the key question is if you're getting 100 more in value. The biggest and most quantifiable new credit is up to 500 per year in statement credits for American Airlines Vacations, and it's broken down into up to 250 for January to June, and then up to 250 for July to December. Taking a look at the portal, it's pretty much what you'd expect and like the other ones. Their backend partner is Rocket Travel by Godia, so nothing too weird. The one thing I want to check, and you should as well, is whether they're charging a premium. Taking a look at the Fairmont San Francisco for August 22nd, we have $438 all in on the American side, and on Godia, it's $439, so effectively the same thing. Marriott Marquis, interesting. On American, it's $230. On Godia, it's $210, so $20 less. So inventory is very similar, but a little bit different. Heading down to LA for the Ritz-Carlton, it's $1,100 on August 22nd on American, and on Godia, it's $1,072, so $29 less. Mind you, this is nowhere near a fair sample size, and I might do a deeper dive if necessary if there's interest, but I'd probably still discount it. So for example, let's say you discount it by 10%, then you're looking at about $450 as the net realizable value. The counter argument though is that you are earning American miles, and that's probably going to outweigh the premium. So for example, the 10K American miles they're getting with the card is about 100 to 200 in value depending on how you use the miles. I'd probably still discount it by a little bit given the forcing function of it and also the opportunity cost. One that sounds good on the surface but is a bit tougher is going to be up to $15 per month for Lyft, but you only get this after taking 3 eligible rides that month. So the max value is up to $180 annually, but you have to earn it. And to be fair, it technically is better than the old credit. Before the change, it was up to $10 per month, with the same 3 eligible rides required to get it. Let's actually take a look at my numbers. So for the last 2 months, I took 2 Lyft rides per month, and it's pretty much all to and from the airport. To be fair though, Mandy does oftentimes call it. We pretty much have both phones out, checking both apps to see which one's the cheapest. For whatever reason though, if they are about the same, I opt for Uber. Maybe I'm crazy, but oftentimes it feels like less of a wait. Also, it just depends on your city as well. So for example, if you're in New York, I have heard that people like Lyft better because it is a lot cheaper. The next credit is a new one, and I'm not sure what to think of it. You're getting up to 100 per year on eligible in-flight and Admiral Club purchases. I usually don't buy stuff on flights for whatever reason, so it feels like a zero there. For the Admiral Clubs, if you are buying top shelf liquor or higher end wines, then that could be a good and easy use case. But yeah, otherwise I'd be careful not to overvalue this. Oh, interesting. So I'm not really an American flyer, but I didn't realize they had a menu. It looks like you can order items in the lounge. For example, chicken bites are $10 and a BLT sandwich is about $14. I'm mostly a United and Delta guy and Bank Lounge guy. And for Delta, they do charge for some drinks, but it's not that common. So for American, they do have a buffet and people do prefer it over the paid menu, but it just depends on what you're after. Yeah, I guess in that sense, the credit does make a bit more sense. If you are an American flyer, let me know if there's anything worth getting or if it's more of an alcohol credit. One downside is that this is replacing the old 25% savings for in-flight food and beverage purchases, but if you do have the card before the update, then you're going to get the perk through September 30th, 2026. So technically a loss, but I don't think you're losing that much and I'd take the new benefit way over the old one. They're also making some improvements, and they're increasing the old 10x multiplier to 12x for eligible AAdvantage hotel and car rentals. If you haven't noticed yet, all the banks and also airlines are trying to push you to their own hotel portals. One new benefit is that if you do spend a ton or if you fly a ton, you can earn more loyalty points. They ended up adding 2 new loyalty point milestones at 165K and 240K. The old 2 of the 50K and the 90K are still there, but 2 new options. It's pretty much only relevant for consultants flying every week or business owners putting a lot of spend on the card, let's say 165K or 240K a year. One interesting addition is elite statuses. The first one is Avis President's Club. They have 3 public statuses, and this is on the top of the list. The main draws are going to be single level upgrades that are guaranteed. Also potential double upgrades if available on weekends. The most valuable but probably underrated one is guaranteed car availability. When you go online to rent cars, even if you pay, you're just putting your name down on a list, you're not guaranteed a car. The main reason being that car companies overbook and deal with late returns and also maintenance. And apparently, even if you do prepay, that doesn't increase the odds of you getting the car compared to paying at the counter. With the status, it means that you actually get a car and it's guaranteed, which could make or break a vacation. The other status is going to be Omni Hotels and Resorts Champion status. This is going to be their mid-level status, and it normally requires 4K in spend with their hotels per year. Let's break down everything so it's easier to compare. You do get 10 Omni credits per room night instead of 5, so twice as many points. For bottled water, instead of getting it on just arrival, you get it daily. Same idea for complimentary beverages. Instead of just a welcome drink, it's daily morning delivery. I'm guessing that's drink vouchers for the bar, but let me know. Going a bit deeper, you get 1-level room upgrades, early and late checkout if available, 4 items pressed, or shine shoes per stay, and also local market amenity. If anything, it feels like a great sweet spot. I think for most of us, the key benefit are going to be the upgrades and early and late checkout. One interesting benefit is that you can also earn a free night. You can earn 1 Omni free night reward each calendar year after completing a direct booking stay of at least 2 consecutive nights. Also enrolling their status, champion is required. If you travel a decent amount, this could be pretty interesting. The 2 consecutive nights have to be at the same hotel, but it could be any participating Omni hotel or resort. The earned free night though can be used pretty much anywhere. So in theory, you could find 2 nights at a cheap Omni and then 1 night at an expensive one. I did a bit of digging, and these are the 3 cheap ones I could find. Omni Corpus Christi might run you $147 per night. So 2 nights here would be about $300. So that's the cheap one, and you now earn 1 night. My read of this is that you could use this at the Omni in Asheville. That might be $500 a night. It also looks like a pretty cool hotel. Mind you, probably a bit too much work given the minimal upside, but an option. The other 2 cheaper ones I could find were the Omni in Pittsburgh at $126 and the Omni in New Haven, that's at Yale at $160. If you're doing a road trip on the East Coast, this could be an easy thing to check off. One perk that is being removed is the up to $10 per month for Grubhub, so up to $120 per year. For new members, you're not going to get it, and for old members, you're getting it through August 31st. Otherwise, the only other major card change is the card type. It's going from World Elite Mastercard to World Legend Mastercard. We do have a video on this card level, but I don't think at the moment it's anything too crazy or worth chasing in and of itself. It's nice to have, but not a reason to get the card. Speaking of which, the main reason why a lot of people get the card is for the cheaper access and cheaper entry for Admirals Club membership. This part is completely unchanged. If you were to buy the membership as a normal member, it's $850. With gold status, it's $825, platinum $800, platinum pro $775, and executive platinum $750. If you were renewing, it's a little cheaper, $800 to $700. Even with the jump in annual fees, it's still cheaper than buying the memberships outright, whether as a new member or renewing. Best case, you use some of the credits or value some of the statuses. Worst case, you're saving some money. If you previously had the card and you're trying to figure out whether the new card makes sense with the new annual fee, the key question is whether you're getting at least 100 in value from the changes. The negative being Grubhub, but everything else being positive. For most people, I'd hazard a guess that the American Airlines Vacation credit would already put you in the green compared to before. If you have the card, you probably travel a lot, and 2 trips a year, 2 hotel bookings isn't unreasonable at all. The more interesting part is going to be the Omni status as well as Avis status, and those could be genuinely useful. For context, I didn't have the old card. I don't really fly American that often, Alaska sometimes, but the math just didn't really work. With the update and the new credits, it's actually viable. Also, the credits look a bit daunting and annoying to track. Reminder that we did launch an app, Cardnomics, to help with exactly this issue. As someone with a lot of cards, I made this for myself. In the past, I had a ton of spreadsheets to track perks and features and stuff, and when things expired and when I had to do different things. For example, this is a bunch of benefits for one card, which I have a stack of. The issue wasn't spending at those places, it was remembering which ones I need to use for which quarter or which month. For example, I buy Lululemon anyways, but it's a bit confusing when you have multiple of the same cards. As much as I love spreadsheets, trying to update them when you're out and about is not a fun time. The idea was to turn the spreadsheet into an easy to manage checklist. Give it a try and let me know what other features we should add, and it should pop up if you search Cardnomics. Oh, also, if you don't want a mobile app, there is a web version. Back to the card, note that if you have Admirals Club, you do get access to Alaska lounges when flying American or Alaska. We do fly Alaska sometimes, but I find that the food isn't that substantive. It's a nice lounge, but sometimes I'm hungry. I know that people clown on the AXP lounge for having boring food, but if you're trying to protein max, chicken and shrimp and veggies work pretty well. Your mileage may vary, but when I'm at home, my diet's pretty much chicken and broccoli. Main takeaway, if you had the old card, I think the new card is a very obvious upgrade across the board. If you didn't have the old card though, but you were an Alaska or American flyer, then I think it is worth considering if you can use the credits. On my end, I might try it for a year, especially for the intro bonus. My rationale is that the credits get you to break even, and that's another intro bonus and starts the 48-month clock on this card. Very questionable if I keep it for year 2, but Citi has a lot of downgrade paths. Curious where everyone's head's at for the card. Again, if you want to learn about cards, whether this one or competing cards or pretty much anything else, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. And if you're curious, all legal affiliate disclosures can also be found below in the description box. When I think of American Airlines, for whatever reason, I think of eagles. So if you made it to this point, leave an eagle emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the Priority Pass and LoungeKey nerf? Number 2, in your opinion, did the Citi card get better or worse? Also number 3, out of curiosity, what airline do you primarily fly? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favor, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.